Rise and shine your light and opulent solution seekers. It's your girl, the spiritual activist, coming to you with another word, message, spout of wisdom, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so today I have a couple things to talk about. Just did this is like my post-run reflection. It's my last little off day before I start the whole work cycle over again. Boo. But anyway, so I woke up this morning really tired, took my son to school. And I was just going to go back home and take a nap until I had to do my daily duties, whatever I had to do for the day. But I was like, you know what? I can't let the mentality that I'm feeling because I know I have to go to work and it's my little last off day affect and neglect myself and my body. You know what I mean? It's like, and this is kind of what I take from the Beyonce song, like, you won't break my soul. It doesn't mean just up and quit your job because you don't like it. It means don't let that job... it does mean eventually quit it, but what I mean is don't just do something stupid because of that song. But it really means, like, don't let anything break your soul, too. Like, don't let this job stop you or defeat you so bad or put you in a state of depression so bad that you create a vicious cycle where you're neglecting yourself because of your mood. And then in that cycle, your mood makes you neglect yourself. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's like I had to, like, you know what? I need to run. I haven't been running on my off days lately because I've been taking care of so many different things, as, my motherly homemaking duties and whatnot. So it's just trying to get to that balance. But when I was doing that run and pushing through, I was like, I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for myself. That's kind of like a mantra that I just had to keep running in my head because it wasn't a punishment. It wasn't like, don't force yourself. It's changing the mindset around fitness and around staying active and staying moving and staying in nature. And nature, honestly, is healing for me. It's medicine for me. Like, that is that's my time with God. Like, when I feel my most closest with God. And it could be a cliche, it could be whatever, but to me, it's the closest thing because this is natural, pure, God-made, Mother Earth. So, to me, it's just pure. It's like water, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just... that's when I feel home or whatever. But so I got to do that for myself and for my mind, my body, my spirit, my soul, whatever. But in that running, I was like, you know what? So I started running. So many little things was irritating me. First of all, I have like a little waistband thing that kept riding up. My pants, I have like leggings on. I really wasn't wearing proper workout material. My leggings kept slipping down. My phone fell out of my pocket and, the headbuds fell off. Then it took me a few tries to put those headphones in a space. So I end up, I say, okay, this is just going to be like a little bit of a awkward run. But you know what? I'm not going to stop. So I just kept dealing with the adversities and just, okay, I'm going to hold my phone. It can't stay in my pocket, so let me just hold it. Okay, I got to take the earphones off. I got to do it this way. Okay, I'm going to have to sprint, pants start falling down, stop, fix myself, walk a little bit while I'm fixing myself, power walk. Okay, catch my breath. Now I'm going to sprint again. And that's just how we're going to have to roll with it. And honestly, that's really what the key to success and discipline is, because it's not going to be easy. And the more and more I realize, the more and more I come to terms with, life is going to always have a bunch of bullshit. Life is going to life. Life is going to happen. And yeah, I know we get tired of it. We just like, why we got to just go through so much of this bullshit and like all these little things that irritate us and like set us back and make things harder. Yeah, we can keep asking why, but you're probably not going to get an answer. And it's not really you that's asking why. It's your mind. Your mind wants to make connections. Your mind wants answers all the time. And your mind is the one that's always constantly racing with putting all of these thoughts that just get in the way. It creates more noise. It creates more adversity to you accomplishing your goals. Like, I'm running and all kind of thoughts run in my head. Okay, somebody passed me up. Let me go. Let me start running again. Then I'm thinking, oh, look, they probably going to think, oh, look, yeah, she want to start running because I done kind of caught up with it. Like, all this stuff, just all these this bullshit that just run in my head for no reason. And this time was the first time I started telling myself, like, man, just quiet. Just quiet. And then I just start running. Because it's like, I'm not going to let my mind go on this tangent and let those thoughts turn into narratives, and those narratives become feelings, and those feelings become emotions, and those emotions become belief. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just becomes this trickle-down effect that does nothing for you. Those thoughts are not motivating you. Now, everybody has their own thing, but the point is like, you have to find what thought process works for you that helps you overcome adversity, that helps you overcome setbacks. Because at the end of the day, those are always going to be constant. The only constant is change. And then that change, it may be in adversity. It may be irritants. It may be things that frustrate you. Like my pants falling down, or my waistband coming up, riding up, or my headphones popping out, or me having to hold my phone when I run, or this or that. I could have just said, F it, man. This is irritating the hell out of me. Let me go back to my car. Whatever, it's over. But I said, no. You can look at it as the devil, the universe, God testing you, faith, whatever, however you perceive it, that's your perception. But that kind of is irrelevant to the fact of what is the effect. There's the cause, there's an effect. So yeah, you have all these perceptions of what's going on, but at the end of the day, it's going on. So the only question that really matters is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let it stop you, or are you going to continue to push through? And in that pushing through, yes, you're going to get tired. Think about a brick wall or something that's heavy, and you're pushing it, and it has pushback and it has resistance. Yes, you're going to get tired, and you're going to need to take a break. That is okay. Sometimes we go through that defeated phase where we've pushed and fought for so long that it's like we at a give up phase. When you get to that point, you need to stop. That is your body, your mind, and your emotions and your spirit telling you, okay, it's time to regroup and recenter and rebuild the foundation and go back to the ground, drawing board. Let me get my men back together, like my soldiers that's within me, to help me fight. Let's go work out. Let's go eat some food. Let's go. I'm using a metaphor here. But you fighting this war, this battle. At some point, the men or the army, the women, the soldiers got to stop, recuperate, get some rest, eat some food, drink some water, do a little bit of workout, whatever. They got to get back strong again. So in that pushing through those adversities and those trials and tribulations, you come out stronger again, knowing that you've conquered them. You succeeded. I finished my run, so I succeeded. Now, and that also comes with listening to your body. Now, if your body is saying, okay, it's worn out, you haven't ran in a long time, you haven't worked in a long time, okay, also listen to that too. I'm not saying push yourself to a breaking point, but you know what I mean. At some point, there's a thin line, there's a balance. It's like a teetering system. Like, think about a scale. You know how, like, you got to add a little bit this side, add a little bit this side, and it takes a little bit before you get it perfectly still and balanced. So that's kind of how you got to do it, like teeter back and forth, toggle back and forth until you, like, get it just right for you, to where you can, like, have a sense of discipline enough to push yourself and complete your goals, and then also just listen to yourself and your body and your system as well, your whole system and temple holistically as well, to know when it's time to stop, regroup, recenter, ground, take a break. However you look at it, however you word the terminology, is just a barrier between the essence of everything. Everything has a core and an essence. But a lot of times there's a lot of noise and layers and bureaucracy and cultures and mindsets and this and that that's added on top that just really divides and create barriers. Like me and another person can be sitting up here having a whole argument and debate, and we're saying literally the same thing, but because they say it this way and I say it that way, and we really want the person to say it the way we say it so that we can feel like we're speaking the same language, we're creating a whole argument even though we have the same agreement. It's like speaking Spanish and Chinese, speaking English and Arabic or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're saying the same thing. We're just trying to translate it and get that understanding that we mean the same thing. It don't have to be an argument. And I'm kind of veering off, so I'm going to stop this video right here. But at the end of it, the message is, for success and discipline in this world, in this life, there's going to be adversities. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be roadblocks. You have to you have to create the mindset that no matter what is in your way, you're going to overcome it. You're going to persevere. You're going to push through. And when it's time to take a break and stop and regroup and recenter and whatever, you will do that. But at the end of it, you can say, I still accomplished my goal. I still defeated the odds. I still proved my mind wrong. I still proved those wrong. I did not become a statistic. I did not become history. Happiness over history every day. Don't get bogged down with all this bullshit they doing to keep your spirit down. At the end of the day, Like I said, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out. Ultimately, when breaking down your conditioning and, your mindset and just trying to get a more balanced perspective on life and not just going with your assumptions, which I always say assuming it's the devil, or just your experiences, or like the way, conditioned, basic things you've overheard, things you've seen on TV that have kind of shaped your mindset. When you're trying to like get into that and like really see it, you start to see that a lot of it may not be truth. And that's when you can release it and reprogram yourself and just slowly, challenge those types of mindsets. Like for example, when I was first venturing out of my spiritual awakening, I was getting a lot of information from women who I felt had more of a wounded feminine perspective. They may have had a lot of bad relationships, or they may perceive men, especially black men, in a certain light. And I just felt that energy that they were kind of just in a fed up state. When a woman's fed up, it's just kind of ultimately a woman who's trying to be married and trying to stay in that commitment and that kind of lifelong bond and challenge should not be taking advice from a woman who subconsciously hates men, who subconsciously may not even like men, or may not be even heterosexual. Not saying a woman who's homosexual can't give good marital advice to heterosexual couples. It's just that you have to realize that there's a different mindset and there are unconscious biases. And if that person is not aware of that, then they can give you advice that is not your truth because they don't have the same perspective, or, and they may not have been able to put those filters to the side to give you the best advice that's needed for you. And so it's the same thing with yourself. You're your first therapist, you're your first guru. So you constantly giving yourself advice. You're constantly telling yourself things, subconsciously, consciously, whatever. So you have to realize, like, maybe this is coming from a wounded place. Like, maybe this is coming from a victim mentality. Maybe this is coming from, thinking, I don't hate this when people say stop playing a race card, because, bro, half the time people who saying this, they don't got a place to talk. But you got to be able to have those conversations with yourself and like think, maybe it's not a racial thing sometimes. Or maybe what is this doing to me to feel like everything bad that happens to me is based on my race or based on that. Yeah, it's hard to get past it because we feel like we're bombarded with it and it's shoved down our throats every day. And, we do have that activist spirit within us because we ain't taking the bullshit and we know how to stand up for ourselves, so we know our worth. But sometimes you have to be able to look at it and assess the circumstance from all angles and really be able to, tell yourself, okay, this is probably not it, because there are allies out there. There are people who genuinely want to give us a shot. And yeah, it's trending, black, the rise of, that black spirit is just, it's trending and people are hopping on the scene like they're diversity and inclusive and all this. But what you really have to realize is you have to start being able to discern and release some of that skepticism, because that skepticism, it is a vicious cycle that will put you in a rabbit hole. You will spiral out of control because you will feel like you can't trust anybody. It's like your world going to start closing in on you. In those movies when they just feel like they just sinking into this hole and the world just closing in on them, they get this overwhelming heart palpitations, sweating, just trust me, it's not a good feeling. The analysis paralysis, the overwhelm, the just assuming, going deep into these narratives. And this is not to say that some of these things that you're thinking are truth or aren't your intuition. What I'm saying is you have to be able to discern and really do things to challenge and prove those thought processes wrong, and just have more faith and more trust and take more risk and stop talking yourself out of circumstances because of your past experiences or because of your conditioning. You have to be able to recognize your conditioning and not block your own blessings, because of there were moments when I've had opportunities where, a person of a certain race offered me a position to do something. And I was like, and then my mind started going crazy. Or a person of a certain spiritual faith or modality or practices. And, I started getting scared and thinking this. And that fears funneled into thoughts, and the thoughts funneled into feelings and emotions. And then it ended up having me cancel and ghost these circumstances and these opportunities. And I'll never know what could have happened because of them. You know what I mean? I turned them down, or I just didn't flaked on it. And so I just don't want you guys to get into those types of circumstances and trying to prevent it. Just sometimes just take risks, put God in the forefront, have faith, stop trying to prevent everything. I know it's a survival mechanism of our brain to naturally go to those places and think danger, danger, danger. But you have to realize sometimes we have a trauma brain and automatically it assumes everything is somewhat danger. If it don't feel so remotely comfortable and just peaceful or just, in a bubble, padded everywhere, then it's going to probably signal some form of danger. But there's always some risk to the reward, You got to take a risk sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but a lot of times to get to the other side, there is some level of risk you're going to have to take. So just keep that in mind the next time you're faced with opportunity, and just think of the way your mind perceives discomfort, fear, or uncomfortable situations or challenges or new things or changes, and just, try to prove that voice wrong and just take that risk anyway. And, and at the end, yeah, you may follow, you may not. But at least you can say you tried. You don't know if you don't try, right? All right. Peace out. Keep God first.